the blade in the red embers. Your technique is flawless, Renjiro, and completely useless. Master Yamada's voice cuts through the damp spring air of the Hida Province dojo. The year is 1598. Renjiro drops his guard, chest heaving, sweat pouring from his skin. At 23, he is the dojo's golden boy. His Shinkage-ryu form is millimeter perfect. He knows every tactical scroll by heart. He genuinely believes he is ready for hell. Master, I can maintain this perfection for as long as it takes. My bloodcraft will protect me, Renjiro replies, his voice dripping with pride. Yamada does not look at the sword. He stares straight at his student's white-knuckled, slightly trembling hands. Arrogance. You only endure until your muscles betray your mind. What are you offering me? 10 minutes? 15 minutes of elegant choreography. On a real battlefield, the adrenaline drains in the first hour. When that happens, your katana will feel like a 100-pound boulder. Your hands will quit before your brain even realizes what hit it. And you will die, not because you lack skill, but because your body threw in the towel first. Renjiro bows his head, but his jaw clenches in silent defiance. He thinks the old man is just obsolete and stubborn. To him, swordsmanship is the absolute peak of intellect and refinement, not some brute force grunt work meant for sweat-stained peasants in the mud. He genuinely believes that dissecting Sun Tzu's art of war and mastering abstract blade philosophies are what separate a high-caliber samurai from the herd. But the ghost of war arrives far ahead of schedule. One afternoon, a messenger from Lord Ishida Mitsunari gallops into the courtyard, horse foaming at the mouth. Emergency mobilization. The Western Army is massing forces for a brutal, full-scale campaign. Every combat-aged samurai is ordered to the front line immediately. Master Yamada calls Renjiro over, handing him a katana forged from premium steel. Renjiro, your form has no blind spots. When you step into that meat grinder, keep an immovable mind. Execute exactly what you have practiced. I accept the command, Master. I will show you what flawless bloodcraft can do, Renjiro declares, brimming with confidence. He marches out with his head held high, completely oblivious to the fact that he is a Ferrari engine bolted onto a chassis made of wet clay. He has never fought continuously for more than 15 minutes at maximum intensity. He has absolutely no clue what happens when the illusion of perfection gets pulverized by raw, ugly reality. Renjiro cannot sleep. His lower back is screaming, his shoulders burning from the sheer weight of the iron armor during the brutal daytime march. He paces aimlessly through the dark, skirting the edge of the central camp just to breathe. Near a clearing hidden behind a dense bamboo grove, he freezes. It is the middle of the night before a life-or-death slaughter. Every sensible soldier should be hoarding energy, but out here, a group of grizzled veterans is violently throwing themselves into a savage training routine. A middle-aged warrior, stripped to the waist to reveal a tapestry of jagged scars, swings a massive, square iron bar, a tenrenbo in wind-tearing arcs. The terrifying hiss of that 30-pound iron block cuts through the night. Next to him, another veteran strains to lift a colossal smooth boulder, a chi-ishi, his forearm muscles bulging like braided steel cables. A third man repeatedly hammers his fists into a thick straw post wrapped in raw animal hide, each impact sounding like a dry, sickening thud. Old General Taida, a veteran with eyes sharp as daggers and a face mapped with battlefield, scars lowers the tenrenbo, locking his gaze onto Renjiro. Hey rookie, what are you staring at? Didn't that fancy dojo of yours teach you how to prime your muscles the night before a slaughter? His voice is gravelly, like two boulders grinding together. Renjiro bristles, his pride stung. At the Hida Province dojo, we do not indulge in such crude theatrics. Shinkage-ryu swordsmen neutralize enemies with refined principles and master-level strategies, not vulgar physical force. Taida burst into a roaring laugh, a sound reeking of gunpowder and pure cruelty. Dojo? Rivenfight principles. You pretty boys are just factory-farmed show dogs, trained to dance with swords to keep the warlords amused. Tell me, genius, how long can you swing that real katana of yours with absolute lethal power? Renjiro fires back instantly, an hour, maybe two. That is the standard duration of our conditioning sessions. Taida slams the iron Tanrenbo onto the dirt. The metal clashes violently against rock, sending sparks into the dark. You are living a delusion. At the dojo, you fight for 5 minutes and take a 10-minute breather. Tomorrow's butchery will drag from sunrise until the river runs thick with blood. In the first hour, everyone's technique looks pretty. By the second hour, your form starts to warp. The third hour, your limbs are shaking. And by the fourth hour, that is when the real reaping begins. The men who die in the fourth hour do not die because their swordsmanship sucks. They die because their hands are ruined, completely lacking the physical strength to even hoist their blades. When that happens, a peasant who knows how to swing a wood-splitting axe for 10 hours straight will happily chop off the head of a sword genius gasping for air in the mud. The old man gestures toward the brutal implements. This Tanrenbo builds forearm stamina so your weapon does not fly out of your grip when the hilt is slick with fresh blood. The chi-ishi stone reinforces your core so you do not fold under the weight of your armor. The hide post conditions your bones to absorb the shock when two steel blades collide. Pick it up. Give me 30 swings. Renjiro sets his jaw, steps forward and bends down to grip the hilt of the Tanrenbo. He exerts full force to hoist it. The unforgiving weight of the solid iron bar causes his forearms to lock up instantly. He forces out the first swing. It is drastically slower and heavier than he ever imagined. By the 10th strike, both of his shoulders are on fire. By the 15th, his forearm muscles tear painfully, and his fingers go completely numb. The iron rod slips from his grip, thudding uselessly into the dirt. He looks down, horrified, at his red, violently trembling hands. Understand now, Taida says, his voice ice cold. Cutting-edge software running on garbage hardware is just a corpse that knows how to dance. The battle erupts at dawn. Hour 1, the illusion of genius. Renjiro plunges into the meat grinder. Just as he predicted, the breathtaking technique of the Shinkage-ryu turns him into an absolute phantom. An enemy soldier charges. Renjiro sidesteps effortlessly, the katana blade slicing a clean, sweet line across the man's throat. A second man drops, then a third. Every execution is flawless. Adrenaline spikes his heart rate, totally numbing his perception of pain. Hour 2, the silent wait. The sun climbs high, the air turning thick and rancid with the smell of open bellies. The meat grinder shows no signs of slowing down. Enemies keep coming like relentless, frantic waves. The iron armor pinning his shoulders down now feels like it is burying itself deep into his flesh. The hilt of his sword, coated in a slick mixture of sweat and blood, becomes incredibly slippery. To keep the katana from flying out of his hand, Renjiro has to squeeze his fingers tighter than ever before. His forearms begin to rigidify, a deep, agonizing ache spreading through his limbs. His execution speed drops by a crucial beat. Hour 3, the body fails. The real horror hits the moment the adrenaline reservoir runs completely dry. Physical fatigue starts tearing Renjiro's structure apart from the inside. His brilliant brain fires a clear command: lift the arm, block at a 45-degree angle. But the muscle fibers in his shoulders and forearms are utterly paralyzed. The neural signal fires, but the body does not respond. The katana, weighing less than 3 pounds, now feels like a solid block of lead. On a real battlefield, the ultimate terror is not a superior enemy. It is when your own body becomes a prison house, sabotaging your will to live. Renjiro blocks a desperate slash, but the shockwave rattling through the steel blade makes his hands vibrate violently. He almost drops his weapon. He is forced to retreat, panting like a dog, his vision blurring from sheer physical exhaustion. Hour 4, the reaping. Renjiro stumbles blindly through a carpet of eviscerated corpses. His ironclad boots feel like they are cast in concrete. A massive silhouette looms in front of him, cutting off his escape. It is an Ashigaru, a raw peasant foot soldier. No prestigious armor, just a filthy torn cloth shirt and a cheap nicked blade. The man's footwork is garbage, his posture riddled with obvious openings. If this were the dojo, Renjiro would dismantle this insect in 3 seconds flat. But this is the 4th hour. The peasant unleashes a primal scream, swinging his sword straight down at Renjiro's skull. Renjiro's genius brain instantly computes the perfect counter. Step half a pace to the left. Slice upward into the exposed armpit. Perfect calculus, supreme strategy. But his body has officially gone on strike. His feet refuse to budge. His deadened shoulders cannot haul the blade up in time. Crash. Renjiro forces every remaining ounce of life into a desperate block, but his ruined hands have zero structural support left. His katana gets violently deflected. The peasant's cheap blade grazes his shoulder, ripping through fabric and flesh, spraying crimson into the mud. The Ashigaru is exhausted too, huffing like a draft horse, but his hands, that spent a lifetime tilling rocky soil and hauling heavy stones, still possess an incredible, resilient endurance. The peasant surges forward, unleashing a barrage of clumsy, high-impact strikes. Renjiro defends frantically. He tries to execute his signature overhead strike, but his forearms are completely drained of energy, causing the trajectory to waver. The peasant easily ducks inside the arc and drives a violent, agonizing punch straight into Renjiro's ribs. The sound of snapping bone echoes through his chest. Renjiro collapses into the filth, the katana slips away. He looks up at the ragged peasant soldier towering over him. The man isn't better at sword philosophy. He just possesses a resilient machine that refused to quit before Renjiro's did. The cold steel drops. The 23-year-old genius's world goes dark. One final thought flashes through his mind, bitter, hollow, and way too late. Master-level technique without physical endurance, backing it up is just empty theory to die, beautifully. News of the casualty reaches the dojo 3 days later. The greatest genius of 2 generations was left in the dirt, put down by an anonymous peasant soldier because his body quit in the 4th hour. That afternoon, Master Yamada masses all the students in the center of the courtyard. His face looks 10 years older, his eyes sunken but burning with a fierce cold rage. I have fed you a fatal lie. I taught you to worship elegant principles and beautiful choreography. I sent Renjiro to the front line with a mind as sharp as cold steel, but I housed it inside a vessel made of clay. The blood is on my hands. And today this dojo rises from those ashes to correct the mistake. Yamada raises his hand. A group of heavily panting servants carries new equipment into the yard. Massive iron tanrenbo rods, brutal heavyweight Subarito wooden swords, and jagged, raw chi-ishi strength stones. General Taeda steps out from the shadows of the corridor, his killing intent suffocating the room. You soft, pampered boys, pick up the iron, right now. The dojo yard transforms into a strength-forging purgatory. The elegance is dead. There is only the sound of iron bars ripping the air, stones clashing, and flesh slamming violently against hide-wrapped posts. Blisters rupture, blood oozes across palms, mixing with the pouring sweat. Kenji, a veteran student, collapses onto the dirt after 30 minutes of swinging the massive Subarito under a driving rain, both of his hands shaking uncontrollably. Master, I can't feel my hands anymore. My form is shattered, I can't land a clean strike. Yamada looks down at his student, his face carved from stone. Your swordsmanship didn't get worse. Your body was always this pathetic. You just never had the guts to push it to the red line to find out. Until your physical endurance matches your intellect, every single one of your techniques is completely meaningless. 5 years pass. Kenji stands with his arms crossed in the dead center of the dojo courtyard, now the master running the school in place of Yamada. A 16-year-old boy walks through the gates, his eyes overflowing with arrogance. Master, I am here to learn the ultimate, hidden techniques of the Shinkage-ryu. I want to be invincible under heaven. Kenji smiles, pointing to the far corner of the yard where a heavily rusted iron tanrenbo rod sits in the dirt. Pick up that iron rod. Show me 30 precise full-power swings. The teenager steps forward confidently, but by the 23rd swing, his hands begin to vibrate violently. The iron rod slips, crashing heavily against the ground. The boy glares, resentful. I came here to master a prestigious noble art, not to do slave labor like some unwashed peasant. Kenji steps closer, bends down, and hoists the massive iron bar as effortlessly as a dry twig. His voice drops low, sharp, and razor-cold. 5 years ago, a genius named Renjiro walked through that exact door. His technique was 10 times more perfect than yours will ever be, and he died. He died under the clumsy blade of a plain peasant soldier in the 4th hour of a real battle, because he carried a mind of steel inside a corpse made of clay. So choose the story you want to write, kid. Become a brilliant casualty who died beautifully, or a warrior who is still standing when the final hour clears. What about you? You are fighting your own war every single day. Drowning in deadlines, career pressure, chasing promotions, forcing self-discipline. You seriously think you are losing because you lack skills? Because you haven't taken the right course? Because your mindset isn't elite enough? Wrong. You are losing because your hardware quits before your will even gets a shot at success. You are gassed out in the very first round. Even the most advanced operating system is completely worthless if you run it on rotten hardware. Elite skills are just empty theory if your physical body falls apart at the 4th hour of pressure. Stop dreaming about beautiful shortcuts. Forge your hardware today. Start with the roughest, most agonizing, monotonous disciplines and repeat them every single day. The battlefield of life does not give a damn about who has the prettiest technique. It rewards the last man standing. Forge the vessel first, then fill it with technique. Roll up your sleeves, get to work.